Hello everyone and welcome to pre-order day show number 3 or 1, 2, whichever order you're watching in. It's all about the rats. It's all about the Verminous Valor, the new battletome Skaven. So we do a review. People who don't know about the channel, what we do, I'm sure most of you do. We read through the rules for the match play section, try and give some insight, first impressions. Normally we follow these shows up later with some list text or some sort of aftermath style videos where we've kind of reflected on the review and what we think. So if you want to catch the journey that we go on, then subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. We've done a General's Handbook show and a Sylvaneth show. We've also going to do a live on Sunday to talk about the handbook and maybe some list text, depending on what the chat wants to do. So join us for that. That'll be at 8 o'clock UK time. You can see that on the channel page if you click there as well. So that's all the sort of admin stuff out the way. So let's get straight into it. I'm solo on this one because of the time constraints. I wasn't able to organize my co-host Byron to join me. So you have to put up with me talking at you about Skaven, which, fine. I mean, it's good. So, battletome is quite nice. I'll give my first impressions. So, one of the things I'm a little bit sort of the range looks very tired. There's not a whole lot of new models. Obviously we had the Never Maze Slink warband, and then we had the Deathmaster model, but really there aren't any new models. Some of the models are fine cast old metals been around from the 90s that are in fine cast now. Quite a lot of gaps, like like the Poison Wind, they're called Scar Acolytes, but Poison Wind Globadiers, how I knew them. Things like that. It's kind of a strange book. There's a ton of war scrolls and a ton of rules, and even the layout and the way the book's done, it feels like an old book, and it's even got the old cover. So it's a bit, I don't know, like if you're a Skaven player, hopefully the rules are better. So you're like, yeah, cool. Good news is that they haven't released a whole new load of models that you have to buy to have a good collection. And some of the war scrolls are improved for sure. One of the big improvements for me, just on reflection, is the reliability of Clanratz's battle line. And being able to do themed armies like do a Echin army or a Pestilence army, but still include other things without breaking your allegiance. But you can still have battle line because you're battle line if general and stuff like that. So they've kind of allowed you to build a more traditional Skaven clan in the army list building, which I'll talk about later. Some rules have changed. Battle shock's going to be a thing. So I'll just talk through it. So the allegiance abilities. So let's get straight into it. So we've got lead from the back. Subtract 1 for hit rolls from melee weapons. Target a Skaven hero that's not a monster that is within 3 of any friendly Skaven models that have 3 or more models. Now, quite interesting because it's a monster keyword. Now, some of the larger things are not monsters, like the Screaming Bell, things like that. So if you've got models around it, actually gives it a little bit of sustain. Then you've got Scurry Away. In the combat phase, when you pick a friendly Skaven who does not have a mount, you can say it will Scurry Away, it can retreat. So that means that it doesn't say monster. So Vermin Lords are Skaven heroes, so can retreat instead of fighting. Can be quite useful if there's someone's mobbing you. Obviously, like it's activation stuff as well. Like people have to make a choice where to activate, and if you're like, well, actually, I don't want to fight, they got to fight there first, otherwise I'll move away. Obviously, there are ways around that with like pinning you or surrounding you. But yeah, so it's quite a useful rule, that one. Then strength in numbers is an interesting one. This used to give you bravery, but now what it does, it gives you 1 inch to your reach for every 10 models. So when I did the Echoes of Doom show and I spoke about the reach on the halberds for Storm Vermin, obviously we didn't know about this. So this gives you extra reach. Just excuse me every now and again, I'm going to stop to drink because my throat's going to get hoarse. So what's quite good about this is, although with Galatian veterans you get to fight half an inch, having a 3 inch reach on like a Storm Vermin unit means you're going to fight, and on 25mm bases, you're going to be able to fit a very narrow front and a lot of attacks in that space. So I quite like that. It's Plague Monks as well would be quite scary, you know, 3-inch reach on the Plague Monks. Obviously, the bravery's gone, so you're going to be like worrying about battle shock a little bit. So then we've got battle traits. So the way this works is that your keywords will give you abilities. So obviously we spoke about the older book where this still happened, but it was just the battle line ifs. You had to take clan rats basically. So if you're master clan, you get skilled manipulators. Roll a dice for you, allocate a wound or mortal wound to a master clan hero who's not a monster, or instead of making a ward roll for a wound that would be allocated to a master clan hero that is not a monster, if that hero is within 3 inches of a friendly Skaven unit that has 3 or more models on a 3 plus the wound or mortal wound is allocated to one of those units instead of that hero. So you've got the synergy there of the -1 to hit, but also the wound bounce. It's not a choice, so you do have to do it. So you can bounce wounds off, which makes things like the bell quite interesting. Then you've got always 3 claw steps ahead, so you can use this ability if you include 3 or more master clan heroes in your starting army. After you pick a friendly Skaven unit to be your first unit to run in a phase and make a run roll for that unit, so you wouldn't be able to command point that, you can use that run roll in place of any other run rolls you make for friendly Skaven units to the end of the phase. So you can run a unit, oh, I've rolled a 1, I'll run this next unit, I've rolled a 5. Okay, that's going to be the run roll for all my friendly Skaven units for the rest of the turn. You also get that with charges, same. And also when you pick a friendly Skaven unit to be your first unit to fight and make pile-ins, you can make pile-in moves for other friendly Skaven units on the battlefield that's wound free. So it also says you can make another pile-in when it's picked to fight. So there's going to be some jank with that. So you'll be able to like pile in a unit, kind of like, say you charged a screen and you pile in, when you pile in this unit to fight and they pile in and they kill the unit and you've charged, right? So they get to pile in anyway, so they can pile in again. So you might be able to get a little bit more distance. It's a bit techy. I don't know how useful it is. Obviously you have to take 3 master clan heroes, which I think are the Graces. So you could do that. I think it's quite an interesting mechanic, like having to like be able to roll 1 charge, then just say, oh, I've rolled a 10, so everyone's going to charge 10. It would be quite powerful if you roll high in the start. So yeah, interesting. So you got Clan Moulder special rules. So there are a lot of rules in this book. So every clan's got rules, and then there's loads of artifacts, traits, spells, and there's a bucket of war scrolls. So I'll try and get through it and might not cover everything in detail. So you've got prize creations. So after the start of the first battle round, before determining who has first turn, but before the first turn begins, pick 1 Hell Pit Abomination in your army. And, you know, pick a mutation. If you've got 3 or more Master Molders, again, there's that free hero thing. So 6 heroes your max. So you could take 2, unlock 2 of these special extra things. You can pick each Hell Pit Abomination to have a mutation. The same one cannot have more than 1, and they cannot duplicate. So you've got wounds, characteristic 16 and a save of 4. It's tough and sinews. Lumbering Behemoth. The unit has a move of 7. Addition charge rolls are automatically a 7. So that, I think that removes the randomness. Quivering Bulk. Add 1 to each roll you make for his Avalanche of Flesh. Accelerated Regeneration. You can use his Regenerate Monstrous ability in the enemy hero phase as well as yours. It's a heal, I imagine. Best Warpstone Spikes. Reroll the dice when you use its Warpstone Spike ability, and Backup Organs. Reroll the dice when you use it's Too Horrible to Die. So obviously the first one and the last one are quite good. If you like your Hell Pits, but obviously you still get that even if you don't take any Master Molders. So as long as you've got Hell Pit, you get 1. If you take 3 Master Molders, you unlock all of them. If you take multiple. You've got Echin, Masters of Murder. Start the first battle round after the determining has the first turn, but before the first turn begins, you pick 1 enemy hero of the battlefield, add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for clan Ashen units that target the hero. if you have 3 or more Ashen heroes in your starting army, add 1 to hit and win rolls for melee weapons by friendly classes that target enemy heroes. So one is you get to pick 1, the other is all of them. It's okay. I think you could quite easily have 3 Ashen heroes if you wanted to, like Vermin or Deceiver, Slink, and a Deathmaster. They're quite expensive, so it's quite a lot of points, but I think maybe 1's enough. You probably don't need more than 1. Clan Verminus, the heroic action, you can carry it with a friendly Claw Lord instead of picking 1 for the core rules. Pick 1 eligible command trait that the Claw Lord does not already have, and apply its effect until the end of the turn. If you include 3 or more Claw Lords, you can carry this heroic action with each Claw Lord instead of just 1. The same command trait cannot be picked with this ability more than once at the same turn. So you can change your command traits around. It's really interesting. I don't know how practical that is or useful, but when we talk about the command traits, there might be some stuff. Obviously, they don't have to be your general. So you could have a command trait on somebody else and then allows you to do that. So what's nice about that, even if you don't have 3 Claw Lords, you just got 1, you can always pick a trait out from the list. You can't take them from the generic core rules. They have to be from this book. Clan Skyer, so you've got the Warpstone Sparks, so you can include any heroes in your starting army. At the start of the battle, you roll d3, add 3. If you have 3 or more Clan Skyer, it's d6, add 3. The result is the number of sparks you receive. You can't use more than 1 spark in the same phase. Each spark can be used to carry out one of the following Warpstone Spark abilities. Hero phase, Clan Skyer Wizard, reroll, cast a spell, and unbind for that wizard until the end of the phase. That's not just 1 spell, that's all of them. At the end of the phase, roll dice on a 1, d3 mortals. And then shooting phase, pick a friendly Sky hero, pick 3 different Sky units wholly within 13, add 1 to the damage of missile weapon exposed units till the end of the phase. At the end of the phase, roll dice on a 1, d3 mortals. Then in the combat phase, pick a friendly Sky hero to fight. You can say that we use the Warpstone Spark, add 1 to hit, and win rolls for that hero to the end of the phase. At the end of the phase, roll dice on a 1, d3 mortals. So Sky are quite powerful. We know that. That's not new. I think that's what they did before. There's some of the Sky stuff's really, really good. So I think every Skaven list will have Sky machines or warp fire throwers or Giselles or stuff like that in their list, because you need some range, because your melee is not amazing. But yeah, so the Warpstone Sparks, put an engineer in, you're getting sparks. So you can have your Giselle weapons battery powered up. So it's something I've been looking at. So pretty good. Yeah, enough to say about that. You get these, just it doesn't matter about your general choice or anything like that. You just get these anyway. Clan Pestilence, you've got the Great Plague still. So when you make a chanting roll for Clan Pestilence Priest, add 1 to chanting rolls for each other friendly Clan Pestilence Priest within 13 of the chanter. In addition, if the chanting prayer roll for a friendly priest is a 6, you pick 1 of the Great Plagues to manifest in addition to the prayer. Each Great Plague can only manifest once per turn, and no more than 1 Great Plague can manifest in the same turn. So it's quite interesting, because if you make a chant roll for a Clan Pestilence Priest, you add 1 to the other friendly Clan Pestilence Priest. So if you've got a couple of them near each other, you'd get +1, +1, +1. So you could end up with like +2, +3 to your clan, your roll. So your last priest would be doing on a 4 up, so you'd be doing on a 6, on a 5, on a 4. I think that's how it works. That's how I read it anyway. Let me know if you disagree. Bubonic Blight Plague. So it's Great Plague manifest. Pick the nearest unit within 13. You don't have a choice. The unit's affected with the Bubonic Blight Plague. If several units are tied, you pick the one which is infected. The infected unit takes 2d6 mortal wounds. If you destroy that unit by those mortal wounds, you pick another enemy unit within 6 of the last model to be slain. That is now infected, takes d6 mortal wounds, and if that's also destroyed, you then pick another unit within 6, take d3 mortal wounds, continue until either a unit is not destroyed or there are no other units within 6 of the destroyed unit. So quite powerful. I mean, just doing 2d6 wounds, something that's close. I mean, there's like quite often in the game, especially the order that you do your priests, you could probably do quite a lot of impactful damage to an important unit. I mean, even if it's just a unit that's fighting you, like a veteran unit or something, 2d6 mortals is pretty good. Crimson Will Curse. Pick the nearest enemy unit within 13. The unit's infected with the curse for the rest of the battle. If several enemy units are tied, you can pick which is infected. The infected unit takes 1 mortal wound. In addition, at the start of each turn, the affected unit and each other unit within 1 inch of the affected unit take a mortal wound. So it's just like a ticking damage over time. The red Maw, this Great Plague Manifest, pick the nearest enemy hero within 13 of the chanter. That hero is infected by the red Maw plague. For the rest of the battle, if several enemy heroes are closest, pick which one's infected. Start the combat phase. If the infected hero is within 3 inches of any other units in your opponent's army and not within 3 inches of any units in your army, you can treat that hero as a friendly unit until the end of the combat phase. So you can actually fight with their hero. Quite powerful, especially with retreat shenanigans, teleports, things like that. So they're going to have to be quite careful to stay away from their own model. The Never Plague. This is... if this Great Plague manifests, you can reroll chanting rolls for clan pestilence for the rest of the battle. So for turn 1, if you get one off and they're not near you, then you do the Never Plague, gives you rerolls on your chanting. That's really powerful. Undulant Scourge, this Great Plague manifests but the nearest enemy within 13 of the chanter, and roll a dice for each model in the unit. If several, pick which one. Each 4 up that takes a mortal wound. So Undulant Scourge, if there's a big horde unit fighting you, that's great. You know, if there's a single model, this one's great. So they're all really good. I think the Plague Monk army is going to have some real legs in this book, because you're going to have your reach increase, and you know, they're going to be veterans. You can plus some damage. You've got immune to battle shock from this furnace, so pretty good. Command traits. So there's loads of these. I think there's 3 for each type of hero, and there's obviously like 5 clans, so you do the math, there's loads. So you got Devious Adversary. The general fights within 3 of the enemy not yet fought in the phase, add 2 to his attacks, which is, I think, anyone. And then Supreme Manipulator is Master Clan only. When you do Heroic Leadership, Heroic Action, reroll the dice, whether you get a command point. Got Master of Magic, reroll cast a spell, unbind. So that's the same as the generic one, but that's all casts unbinds. So that's really good. They're really good on a Gracer on Bell. Diabolical Schemer, Master Clan only. Roll dice each time enemy models issue a command within 13 on this model. On a 5-up, it's not received. The command point is lost, and you receive a command point. Again, amazing. Really, really good. It's like a Kurdos Valentin ability in your army. I really like that one. Then you got Moulder. So the general is within 3 of another Moulder unit. Before you allocate a wound or mortal wounds to this general, instead of making an award on a 3+, the wounds allocated to that unit. So it's a bounce for Moulder. You get it with Master Clan, don't get it for Moulder. So that makes him into like a Master Clan mini hero. And the Moulder heroes are quite key to buffing your units. So like it's quite good for them, I think. And your general choice will affect your battle line, which is certain we'll get into, but yeah. Then you've got Clan Moulder hero, add 1 to hit rolls or wound rolls for attacks made by friendly fighting beast units holding within 13 of this general. So pretty good buff piece if you're running Moulder. Then you've got the Horde Master, which is the Clan Moulder only. Once per battle, if the generals on the battlefield when a friendly pack unit is destroyed, you can say they recall their creatures to the fore. Roll a dice on a 3+, a new replacement unit identical to the one that was destroyed is added to your army sub within 13 in general. More than 9 friendly units can only be replaced once. I think pack units are giant rats, I think, and rat ogres as well. There you go. So I know it's on a 3+, but, and I know someone will tell me it's garbage because it's not automatic, but replacing a unit of rat ogres could be pretty big. I mean, you know, that's just my so a note on the battle line stuff. So just checking. I wanted to check it as I was talking about it. So basically, you don't have to have your general to unlock battle line. So like, for example, like gutter runners include 1 unit as battle line for each Echin hero in your army. So they don't have to be your general. They just have to be in your army. So you could run like 1 Skyer hero, 1 Ashen hero, 1 Moulder hero, and then you could have a gutter runner unit as battle line, a unit of well, I've got to try and find a unit that they key off now. A rat ogre unit as battle line, and then, you know, a storm fiend unit as battle line. So you could actually like you can really just take whatever you want as battle line within those groups. It makes the army list is very flexible, which before it was super restrictive because you basically had to have 3 units of clan rats, and if you didn't like clan rats and you didn't want to paint like tons of models, I know some people say you probably should have clan rats, but you still can. It doesn't mean you can't have them. It just means you don't have to have 3 units. You could have 2, 1 big unit, and then take some other stuff. Which is quite good. I think Storm Fiends should still have the Moulder keyword. They do. So I'm not sure they become battle line with Moulder. I'll just double check that because I know they're an amalgamation of the 2 in the background. No, scan Sky a hero to make those battle line, but they are still super good. I just wanted to double check that because as I was talking, I was like, I think it's right. It's different actually. So yeah, it's quite good. Then you've got Unrivaled Killer. Clan Ashen hero. He counts as 2 Ashen heroes to the person as the master of murder battle trait. So if you wanted to take 2, then you could get rerolls against all heroes, or +1/+1 against all heroes, rather than taking 3. Shadow Master. The general cannot be picked as target attacks by missile weapons while they're within 1 inch of a terrain feature. It's really good, especially on your Vermin or Deceiver. Incredible agility. The general can fly. In addition, they can carry out their finest hour twice in the same battle. Again, that's a good one for a Deceiver as well. So I quite like that one. I like the idea of the whippity snap ninja rat. So got Verminous Valor. So these are the Verminous ones that you can take with the swap out. If the general is within 3 of another Skaven unit before you allocate a wound, so that's a save. Then you've got Savage Overlord. If a friendly Skaven unit within 3 fails a battleship test, you can say they restore order with Savage Brutality. They didn't fail, and they just take D3 mortals, so that could be quite good, particularly if you don't have an AoE battle shock immune. Obviously, you're gonna, if you do the heroic action to get that, you're gonna have to really know that that's the thing that you're worried about in advance, because it's something you have to do at the start of the turn. Powerful Alpha. The first 2 wounds or mortal wounds causes general in each phase are negated. That's amazing. Just at 2 wounds, just ignore it every phase. Then you've got the Clan Skyer ones. So Overseer of Destruction. If a friendly unit within 13 is hiding a weapon team is destroyed, the hidden weapon team is not destroyed. Instead, before removing the last model, set up the weapon teams holding within 3 of the model and more than 3 from enemy units. So weapon teams can hide like in the old days. If the weapon team will be lost if the unit's destroyed, this means you don't lose it. So it's quite good if you're leaning into that mechanic. I think it's very powerful, that mechanic, not so much the command trait. Masterful Scavenger. Add 2 to the number of Warpstone Sparks. It's good if you want lots of sparks. I find that D3+3 is probably enough, but you know, get an extra 2, it's fine. Deranged Inventor. At the start of your shooting phase, pick a friendly Clan Sky unit holding within 13, add 1 to hit rolls by missile weapons. That's really good. Just a flat buff, no cast. It's a great thing to do. Master of Rot and Ruin. Add 1 to chanting rolls. So again, that helps with getting your Great Plagues off. You've got Architect of Death. Clan Pestilence hero only. Add 1 to damage of missile weapons by Plague Claw weapons holding within 18. Again, if you're running Plague Claws, that could be good. Ridden with Poxes. At the end of the combat phase, roll a dice of generals within 3 of enemy units, or 4+ each unit within 3 takes D3 mortal wounds. Not so bothered about that. It might be quite good on a furnace, but I don't think you need it. I think I'd much rather lean into the bonus to prayer to get the Great Plague off, or the Plague Claw if you're running that battery. But there's some really good options in there. There's tons, like, and because the general doesn't unlock battle line, but it's just having them in your army, you can really decide which one you want in your list without it affecting your composition of your army, because you might say, I'll take an Ashen general with a trait purely because I want that one, but actually it doesn't affect if I take a Skyer hero or 3 Skyer heroes and I just take 1 Ashen hero like a Deceiver in my list, they're still going to unlock the battle line for Storm Fiends, so you don't need to worry about it. But you've also got, you could still include, you know, like Storm Vermin or Clan Rats as well to shore it up. So you could have like 1 blob of Storm Vermin as your Anvil infantry, and then you could go, I want to use a Plague Furnace and, you know, Plague Monks as battle line, and then I want to take Storm Fiends, so I'm going to have a Skyer hero, then I'm going to take an Ashen hero, and then that could make Gutter Runner's battle line. Obviously with the Galatian Veteran thing, that allows you to make certain units battle line you may not necessarily want them to be, but it's very interesting. The book's quite flexible. I do like the idea you can have a big jambly clan of whatever, you know, but you need to have like a leader and some models, so you can have like a little Ashen contingent, a little Skyer contingent, which is quite good. So Relics of Ruin. So again, tons of artifacts. I don't know why they haven't separated them out by clan. It would have been really nice, because you could have just gone to the relevant ones. It's a bit more wordy. I don't know why they haven't done that. So you've got the Norshard Master Clan Hero. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Any wounds caused by attacks made by the weapon allocate to an enemy unit. The unit takes 1 mortal wound at the end of the turn. Whatever. Then end of each turn. So it's every turn, but it's that good. Skaven Brew, the old classic. Master Clan Hero. Once per battle in your hero phase, pick 1 friendly Skaven unit free. The unit takes D3 mortal wounds plus 1 attack of melee weapons until the end of your next phase. So yeah, pretty cool. The Staff of Rightful Supremacy. Master Clan only. Subtract 1 from casting rolls for enemies within 13 of the bearer. In addition, once per battle in your hero phase, when a friendly unit attempts to dispel an ender spell within 13, that ender spell is automatically dispelled. That could be pretty good, especially how good endless spells are now. Then you've got a Lash of Fangs, Moulder only. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If modified hit roll is a 6, they take D3 mortal wounds in addition, which could be nice. I don't really think Moulder heroes want to be fighting too much. The Rabid Crown, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly clan Moulder fighting beasts and Moulder pack units within 13 of the bearer. So again, it's an AoE buff, and I think the command trait was similar. Add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls. So you could have 2 heroes, one with the trait, one with the artifact, with a bubble buff. So obviously that artifact's not quite as good, but you know, fine. Then you've got the Foul Hide. Clan Moulder only. The bearer has a wound of characteristic of 10. In addition, to start your hero phase, heal a wound. So quite nice if you want to keep one of your Moulder heroes alive for that buff. You know, give him that trait, give him that artifact. He's not going anywhere. I think it will make him not a sub-commander. I'm not sure about the sequencing. I think he'll still be a sub-commander, but he'll have 10 wounds. Then you've got the Echin ones. You've got a Shadow Magnet Trinket. Once per battle start the combat phase, you can see we use the artifact. The Strike First effect applies. Strike First is pretty good. You know, you've got double Deceiver. One goes in, strikes first. The other one goes first because you activate before them because you'll go. You've got the Fast Skitter Cloak. Once per battle at the end of your movement phase, you can remove the bearer from the battlefield and set on the battlefield more than 9 from enemy units. There's some jank with this because you've got a teleport in the hero phase, and then you can then teleport back out in the movement phase. So you can do stuff like Skitter Leap, the Deceiver, drop a Warp Lightning Vortex, and then melt away. So there's some good combos with that. I really like that one. The Ashen stuff I really like in this book. The Gnaw Bomb, again, is cool. Once per battle in your hero phase, pick a terrain feature with 6 at the bearer. To a next hero phase, it counts as a Gnaw Hole. So again, if you've got it on a Deceiver or even on an Assassin, but you use someone else to Skitter Leap them near a terrain feature, chuck the Gnaw Bomb, then you basically could teleport a unit through that, because you can use the Gnaw Hole ability, which we'll talk about when we get there. So that's a really flexible thing. Like if you could suddenly put like 30 Storm Vermin next to their army, you know, like, well, you know, jog on, mate. You know, it's good. Shield of Distraction, Clan Verminus now. So the bearer cannot be picked as a target of combat attacks more than 1 unit per phase, which is okay. I don't think the Verminus heroes are really like. I mean, you could be the Verminus hero is the Warbringer Vermin Lord as well, so it's not awful. You've got the Rust Crusted Armor, so add 1 to save rolls. In addition, start your combat phase, pick 1 enemy hero that has an artifact within 3 inches of the bearer. Roll 2d6. If the roll is greater than the hero's bravery, that hero no longer has that artifact. So that's quite powerful. You get a +1 to your save anyway, but you've also got a way of just destroying artifacts. So that could be quite powerful, because some people do rely on artifacts to make heroes or characters a lot better than they are. You know, just destroying a ward save or getting rid of, you know, Destroyer or something like that is, you know, and it's at the start of your combat phase. So you kind of have to charge them to use it. So, but I mean, it's useful. I don't know if it's like that amazing, but if he's in combat, you know, against something like Arcane Tome, they're probably going to die anyway. But you still get +1 save, so it's still good, because you're just like, well, I'll get +1 save, and that other ability might be in effect at some point, but it's not. It doesn't matter if I don't use it, I'm still getting a good benefit. So +1 save artifact's still good, right? So then you've got a Clan Vermin hero. Subtract 1 from save roll, so enemy units within 3 inches of the bearer. At the start of your hero phase, roll a dice on a 1, you take D3 mortals. So it's good, powerful, but obviously you could be taking damage. It reminds me of the old, it's the Warpstone charm, but I remember the old Warpstone plate used to have in the old days. Used to take like all the, was it the Fell Blade used to take damage because you were wielding this really bad weapon. It's the weapon that used to kill Nagash, I think it was, back in the old world. And you've got the Stoic Warp Resonator, which is a Clan Skyer hero only. At the start of each battle round, you receive 1 extra Warpstone Spark. If he's on the battlefield, that Warpstone Spark can only be used to carry out Warpstone Spark with the bearer. If it's not used before the end of the battle round, it's lost. So it's quite nice if you want a reliable cast, because you can use it for casting every turn. Obviously, you could take mortal wounds, but it, you know, it's only on a 1 and it's D3. You might have a ward. It's like there's lots of ways to mitigate that. Then you've got Viola the Fulminator, Clan Skyer hero only. At the start of your movement phase, you pick 1 Clan Skyer War Machine within 6 of the bearer. Double that unit's move until the end of the phase. At the end of the phase, roll a dice on 1, it takes D3 mortals. So obviously, like, Doom Wheels are war machines. It might give you that extra reach on a Warp Lightning Cannon, or only movement 3, but it could be good. The Brass Orb, now this one's nuts. This is great. I think it's an old favourite, but this is just crazy. Clan Skyer hero only. Once per battle, at the start of your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 6 of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 3+, remove the unit from the battlefield. At the end of the turn, your opponent must set it up on the battlefield, wholly within their territory, and more than 9 from enemy units. I don't know what happens if you can't set it up. I would say it's dead. But you could Brass Orb something and just make sure they couldn't set it up anywhere, because some territories in the new GHB are very small, particularly like the one with the broken artifact that breaks out with the 2 little boxes we talk about on our General's Handbook show. It's just so powerful. I know it's the start of your hero phase, so you can't do any shenanigans like teleporting, things like that, but you can use that as a reaction. They've just charged you. Imagine it's like Plague Bearers, even if they can set them up, like they're movement 4, they're finally in your territory, they're finally in the combat. No, just go. Don't want you there. If you double turn someone, you can move into position and then go for the double turn. You know, just get that thing out of my face. I don't want to deal with it. It's not automatic. It's a 3+, and it's once per game, but it's so powerful if it comes off. It's game changing. Obviously, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's really good, just because like it is that impactful. Blade of Corruption, Clan Pestilence. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. The modified wound roll is a 6. It has a rend of -3 and a damage of 6 for that attack. Wow, that's actually pretty good. I think, let's just have a look. How many attacks does a Clan Pestilence hero have? I mean, obviously, it's good. A Corruptor's screaming at me right now. Put it on my Vermin Lord Corruptor, right? Because a Vermin Lord Corruptor is... Ooh, where are you, Corruptor? Come to me, Corruptor. I mean, the Vermin Lord Corruptor's got 2d6 attacks. Okay, bit random. But 2d6 attacks, 3/3 rend 2 damage 2. But if you roll a 6 to wound, they're rend 3 damage 6. Pretty good on him. And I'm assuming the Plague Priest should be pretty choppy. So the Warpstone Staff, D3. Warpstone Tipped Staff, D3, 2 on that. So maybe not then. But yeah. Okay. But on a Corruptor. So basically you're going to put that on a Corruptor, right? That's where it's going to live. So, but yeah, really good artifact, right? So then you've got a Fumigatus. Clan Peasants here at the start of the combat phase, pick one enemy unit within 3 of the bear, roll a dice. On a 1 to 2, nothing happens. 3 to 4, D3, 5 up to D6 mortal wounds. It's not terrible. I mean, it's okay. And then you've got Blister Reverse, the Living Cyst. The strike first effect applies to the bearer if it made a charge. Starting for the second battle round, at the start of your hero phase, you must transfer this artifact to another Clan Peasants hero in the battlefield if it's possible, even if that hero already has an artifact. That's really interesting. That allows you to, you could dub, that's really interesting. So you could transfer that, starting for the second battle round at the start of your hero phase. So you got to do it every turn, but you could flip flop it between 2 corruptors or something. It's a weird artifact, but you could end up with that double bubble where you've got the strike first and if you've already got two, if you've got 2 corruptors and one of them's always got strike first, you can activate one who charged, and the other one can go immediately anyway, because you go into the normal activation steps and you just activate first. So pretty good. I think for me, if I'm going to pick one out of all of the things, I would say that the Blade of Corruption's great. I think the Brass Orb is game changing, and like, I know that it's random, but I really like it. I like the rust crusted armor. I think for the Echin, I like a lot of these. I think they're all good. Fast Getter Cloak probably, and the Shadow Magnet, they're all good. All 3 of those are good. I like all of them. The Foul Hide I think is really good for Moulder, because you want to keep him alive, or maybe just the Rabid Crown, so you go for that one. I like the Staff, that's really good. Skaven Brew is decent if you want to have like a unit powered up. It's a Skaven unit, so it doesn't say, it's not restricted, so you could do that on a unit of Storm Fiends, Rat Ogres, whatever. It's not going to kill them. D3 wounds won't kill them. They're going to go in, do loads of damage, so it's quite a nice item. Yeah, so even the yeah, I think there's a lot of good options in there. So Skaven Brew, Staff of Rightful Supremacy, all really good. So that's just artifacts. So obviously it's quite a lot to talk about. We're going to go into spells. So we've only got like a couple spells for each one, thankfully. So you've got the Grey Seer, Law of Ruin. So you've got Scorch, it's on 5, range of 13. Enemy unit within range, visible. Roll a number of dice equal to the casting roll for each 6, takes a mortal wound. Not liking that. I mean, like the Sylvan ones, I think are on 5s or 4s, and it's like it's what the casting roll, and it's only on a 6. If you roll a double 6, you're gonna get 2 mortal wounds. It's pretty junk. Skit Elite, probably the best spell. Has a range of, cast on 6, range of 13. Pick a Skaven hero within wounds catches of 13 or less, visible to the caster. Remove that hero from the battlefield. Set it up on the battlefield on 9 from all enemy units. That hero cannot move in the following hero phase. So teleport, super powerful. You can teleport Vermin Lord of Deceiver with that, because they have 13 wounds, and they also have their own teleport spell on the War Scroll. So all the Vermin Lords have 13 wounds, so they could all be teleported with this. Thankor cannot be, because he's got 14 wounds, and I believe the Grey Seer on Screaming Bell's 15, and I guess the Plague Sensor's the same when I find it, 15 as well. Yeah, so you're basically looking at teleporting your Vermin Lords with this, which is, great, because they've got spells too. So you can teleport the Vermin Lord, then the Vermin Lord can cast. So there's some ways to obviously get reroll cast with Skyer, things like that. So there's ways to get stuff off reliably. So pretty good. Then you've got Death Frenzy, cast on 7, range of 13. Pick one friendly hero that is not a hero within range and visible to the caster. So it's a non-Skaven hero. If any models are slain, they fight before they're removed. Again, good spell. I like that one. I think if you're taking a Grey Seer, the first spell you take is Skit Elite. If you're running a Vermin Lord, it's just too powerful not to take it. It's also good for things like moving stuff and being in range to then drop an endless spell. You can do it with just a throwaway hero, something like that. So Then obviously we've got the Warp Vault Galvanism, Clan Skyers, obviously more warp power is the spell that everyone love to hate. On a 7, range of 13, pick a Clan Sky unit within range. There's no rerolls anymore, but it's add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls. However, take D3 mortals at the end of your next hero phase. So not as powerful, especially if you've got ways to get +1 to hit anyway, and you've got Warpstone Sparks, so it's no longer doubling up with a spark for like, oh, I'm getting like all these bonuses, but +1 hit, +1 wound is still good. It means you're not worrying about that spell so much. It's a big drop off in power for things like, you know, for some of the combo you could have done in the old book, but I just don't think they need it. Then you've got Chain Warp Lightning. On a 7, range of 13, each unit within range takes a mortal wound, so it just like cascades out. Obviously, like, it's something where you could teleport them, they're 9 away from stuff, it hits out, could do chip damage on everything. I don't think it's that useful, but you know, it's there, still the odd wound. Warp Lightning Shield is on a 6. To the next hero phase, the first 3 wounds caused to the caster in each phase are negated. If a 4th wound is caused to the caster in the same phase, then the caster suffers 3 mortal wounds and the spell is unbound. So you basically get a 3 wound buffer, but if you take more than 3 wounds, then you're going to take an extra 3 wounds. So it's almost like it either like saves you or it's going to basically not count. So it's quite a cool mechanic. I like that one. It's each phase. It's pretty powerful. Especially with the armor save of an Arch Warlock. You got your prayers, so these are your Clan Pestilence ones. Disease on a 3, so simple to get off. Pick any unit within range, roll a dice for each model in the unit. On a 5-up, they take a mortal wound, doesn't affect Nurgle. Now, I really like that one because you basically you don't care about the models being in range, it's just the unit. It's 13 inches, is quite a long range for this sort of prayer. Especially if you're on a furnace, you're going to be pushing up the table anyway. And it's a 5-up mortal wound. It's pretty good. And also then if that allows you to activate the Great Plague, you could then do more. Then you've got Filth on a 3 again. Pick a Clan Pestilence unit within range, visible to the chanter. Again, doesn't say holy, it's just within range. Add 1 to wound rolls. So +1 to wound, pretty good. Then Rabid again on a 3. Pick 1 friendly Clan Pestilence unit within range. Add 1 to the attacks. So +1 attack, +1 wound. All really good. All on a 3. Super doable. Especially if you've got the reroll Great Plague off. The chance to activate. I actually think a Pestilence army with like multiple Plague Furnaces is actually going to be really good. Because even if you take the old problem with the old Pestilence army is that you couldn't then take other stuff. You can now. You can basically, you don't have to, you can take, because you've got, say you take 3 Clan Pestilence heroes, you get to have 3, it's a Plague Monks' battle line, but there's no reason you couldn't put a Arch Warlock in with some Giselles, with a Grey Seer, with, you know, whatever, like, or even 1 unit of Storm Vermin with a Bell, two Plague, so it's so flexible in what you can do with this book, so yeah, I like these a lot. We've got some grand strategies and battle tactics, and for those that are tuned into our General's Handbook show, obviously we talked about the importance of these and how armies are going to need to really have good ones in the new handbook. So we've got Shapers of Beast Flesh. If there are 3 or more friendly Master Clan or Clan Moulder heroes on the army on the battlefield, so you need to be stacking into Moulder. Then you've got Master of Execution, 3 or more friendly Master Clan Echin heroes, friendly Master Clan or Ashen, Master Clan or Moulder. So if you take like Grey Seers, you could have like 4 or 5 heroes, keep your heroes alive. It's super doable, but you need to keep most of them alive, so it's quite hard actually. The same with Claw Masters, and then Warpstone Masters, and then Arch Corruptors. So basically they're all the same. Keep Master Clan and Clan Pestilence heroes 3 or more alive. So if you take 6 heroes out of those 2 groups, then you've got to keep 3 of them alive. So it's actually not that bad. Obviously, it does restrict your army build a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. You've got some survivable heroes, especially with like Scurry Away and some of the ways to bounce wounds onto stuff. So Battle tactics, restore the beast, pick a friendly rat ogre unit on the battlefield that's 3 or more wounds allocated to it. Complete this tactic, the rat ogre has 0 wounds, so they've got a heal mechanic, but not really, yeah, not really liking that. You got Death Mark, pick an enemy here on the battlefield that has a wound catch of 10 or more, 0 wounds allocated to it. You complete this tactic if slain by attacks made by Ashen units, so that's quite doable. Particularly if you're running like Slinks, Warband, or like the Vermin or Deceiver. Fire more. Pick one enemy monster on the battlefield. Complete its tactical units destroyed by attacks made by missile weapons by a sky unit. That could be quite doable. Crescendo of the Disease Choir. If you complete this, if 3 or more prayers chanted by different clan pestilence priests are answered this turn. Super doable if you've got the reroll Great Plague off and you've got multiple priests. If you've got like 4 priests, 3-ups reroll in on all your priests, you should get that. It's a bit risky, but some of the other battle tactics rely you on killing stuff. That one's a lot more doable in my opinion, especially when you get bonuses to prayers and you've got a trait for prayers. You can be on 2s for rerolls. I mean, you're going to get it off, and then it gives a bonus to the next priest, and then they give a bonus to the next priest, so you could be on like automatic. So, yeah, I think that's quite a good tactic if you're playing into Clan Pestilence. Again, I think Clan Pestilence is quite strong. So we're into the War Scrolls now. So lots of these, so strap yourself in. And we're going to talk about Thanquol. I don't know the old book very well, so I'll try and summarize some of the changes, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think it's basically the same stat line. Obviously, as a monster, his wound bracketing is a little better. It's Staff of the Horn Rat. I think it used to be +2 max, now it's +3 for casting. He casts 2 and 2, so unbind 2, cast 2. 5 at ward. His power behind the throne abilities changed, so now he can issue the same command 2 times in the same phase per battle round. Each command must be received by a friendly Skaven unit. No command point is spent the second time, so you could do all-out defense twice, or whatever. So pretty good. Once battle round, I think the warp fire projectors and the braziers are basically the same. Freeze, rend 2 damage free for the braziers, and if you can choose, like, do you have 4 braziers or do you have 2 warp fire, 2 that, and then the warp fire is basically roll X dice, depending on how many projectors you got, for each model within range, which is 8 inches, and then every 4 up is a mortal. So if you've got 20 models in a unit and you move up to them and they're all within 8 inches, then that would be 40 dice. If you've got 2, that would be 30 dice. If you've got 3, that would be 40 dice if they got, so yeah, so for each model you roll 1, 2, 3 or 4 dice, depending on how many you've got. So there you go. So you should generally, they've got no after save, and you've got 2 and they're all within range. You should probably wipe the unit out on average. He's got the Warpstone Addiction. So again, you can use your Warpstone tokens and you get 3d6 roll. If you roll 13, it can't be unbound. You take d6 mortals, and then if not, you take the dice away if you want for the cast roll. So pretty good caster, to be honest. He's got a spell called Madness, a value of 8, range of 3. Enemy hero within range, roll a number of dice equal to the combined value of the attacks characteristics of all melee weapons which the hero is armed with for each 4+. Pick an enemy unit within 3 of that hero to suffer 1 mortal wound. You can pick different units to suffer the mortal wounds if you wish. So yeah, it's okay. You got to be within 3 inches, got to be in your hero phase, got to be alive, so not so useful. Quite cool that he's been changed a little bit, but he's still. I really like Thanquol as a model. He's always seemed very expensive. He's 415 points, so maybe see a little bit more play. I don't know. He's a cool model, but 14 means can't skip a leap. So yeah, not sure. Movement 10, so he's not slow, but yeah, comes with a 5 at ward. He's okay. Then we get into the Vermin Lords. Now, Vermin Lords are very good. All of them are very good. So we've got Screech Vermin King. So they've all got Prehensible Tails. They've all got the same wounds, save, that kind of stuff. He's got 6 attacks at damage 2. And he's got his Plague Reaper, which is 8 attacks at damage 2. So the damage has gone up a little bit in their melee profile. He's also still gets his 13-headed one to take his different knowledge. So add one to cast and bind dispel, or you can heal D3 wounds, or if you roll a 6 for the hit roll, it does a mortal wound in addition, or you can subtract 1 from hit rolls that target you. So it's all to start your hero phase, and it goes into the next one, and you can't pick the same one more than once per battle. And then you've got the Doomglade can have a render 3 and a damage of 3. So and add 1 to win rolls. So it's like he's got a different buff for each turn, basically. He's also got the Rat King command ability. So when you pick a friendly Skaven unit to fight, add 1 to hit and win rolls. So pretty good. It's a double buff. You've got the dreaded 13th. So it's cast on an 8, range of 13. Pick an unit within range visible. Roll 13 dice for each 4 plus take a mortal wound. You can summon a unit of clan rats. Have 1 model for each mortal wound that was caused. So you don't have to kill models. Summon unit must be set within the wholly within range of the cast and will 9 from 1 enemy units. So you get a summoned unit. What's quite nice about that is you can do that like every turn. And because he's got a range of 13, you can skit a leap and then hit something. So he seems very solid. Like honestly, very good. He is unique. He's 425, so slightly more expensive than Fanquil. So then we come to one of my favourites, the Vermin or Deceiver. So very similar sort of profile. He's got the Doomstar. It's D6 attacks, which is a little bit... I would have preferred if that was a flat value. But freeze, rend 1, damage 2. But it's also got a rule that if you hit on a 6, it does 2 mortal wounds, the attack sequence ends. So it's okay. 6 attacks in combat, freeze 2s, rend 3, damage 2. That's solid. He can only be picked as target a shooting attack unless the model's within 9. So that's really good because you're not being shot off by long range shooting with him. He's also got the Lord of Assassins, so pick a friendly clan Echin unit to fight in the combat phase, add 1 to hit and win rolls. So obviously he's clan Ashen, so you could do it on himself or you could do it on another unit. Some of the Ashen units are really solid. Dreaded Skit Leap on a 6. Pick a friendly Skaven hero with wounds character of 13 or less. Guess what? He's got 13 wounds. Remove that hero from the battlefield, set it up on the battlefield more than 6 from all enemy units. That hero cannot move in the following movement phase. So 6 inches away only is really solid. Obviously the other Skit Leap is 9, but there's no reason you can't Skit Leap. For example, the Grey Seer could Skit Leap the Deceiver out. He could then got to 2 spells, so he could cast and then a spell, or do some, in the hero phase. Then he could his other spell could be to teleport himself away again. So you could do a teleport, drop a purple sun, teleport back, or teleport, drop a warp lightning vortex, teleport back. So he really opens up some options in your hero phase. I really like the combo. There was a list that Terry used to run with a lot of combos in the magic phase using the Deceiver. I think he's great. He's one of my favorites. He is quite expensive. I just have my book to the side for a moment. Let me just check. I think he's like 400 and something points. I think he's the most expensive Vermin Lord because of that movement ability. So he is 405. And basically all the Vermin Lords drop down in points. So the Warbringer is 395, the Warp is 370, the Corrupt is 360. So yeah. And then obviously Screech is the most expensive, but he's not unique. You can have artifacts. You've got the Norbomb artifact. You've got, really good options with the Vermin Lord Deceiver. And he's obviously got the clan Ashen keyword. So he's a hero, which opens up a battle line slot for some of your other Ashen units. It's like Gut Runners, Night Runners. Like him a lot. Warbringer, I love this model. I think he looks awesome with the punch dagger. He's got the glaive, so freeze, rend 2, damage 2. He's got the spike fist, 2 attacks, 2s, rend 2, damage 3. So that's solid. His tail attack, they've all got that. They've all got 5 at ward. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by this unit while it's with 13 of 3 or more Skaven units. So rerolling wounds is awesome amidst because it's a reroll. Rerolls are rare now. Fist of Verminous Supremacy. If your modified hit roll, the spike fist is a 6. Damage is 6 instead of 3. It's quite cool. It would have been nice to just do flat mortal wounds like the turtle bite, but fine. Tyrant of Battle, you can use this command ability when you pick a friendly clan Vermin unit to fight. Add 1 to hit and wound rolls. So again, it's +1/+1. Pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get +1/+1 in the book. It's very efficient with command points. You spend 1, you get both. Also, they've got different names. So you can use, like, this is Tyrant of Battle, whereas, like, you know, the other was Lord of Assassins. You know, so there's a lot of abilities that do the same thing, but they're called different things. So as their command points, you know, command abilities, they're not the same command abilities, so you can actually do multiple things to buff multiple models. So it's got to be Clan Verminus for this one, the other one's Clan Ashen, but you're effectively getting +1/+1 in multiple places, which is very good, as long as you've got the keywords sorted out right and you're using your army in conjunction, which I really like about the Skaven book. It's got that synergy, and it's all about the clans, and you kind of want to build these like mini groups of clan within your clan, so it's quite thematic. People used to play Skaven of old. I used to love the old red covered Skaven book. Really just leans into that aesthetic, so you can have that kind of mishmash clan force, but each individual bit works well without you having to skew your whole army into a solo clan, which never really felt right or very good. People did, I mean, especially Pestilence, they did take a whole Pestilence, and you can do that. It's just that there's nothing stopping you having a Clan Pestilence army and having like a Gracer on a bell with some Storm Vermin and some Clan Rats, along with some Pestilent contingent, and then maybe you've got some guns and a Warp Lock, and it's like, that's completely fine, and that's exactly how Skaven should play, in my opinion. So it's welcome changes in this book. I do think it's very good. I don't know how Skaven players feel. I mean, you can let me know in the comments. You know, just let me know what you think, and tell me what your favorite Vermin Lord is. I mean, mine's the Deceiver, you know, closely followed by the Punch Dagger, because it's cool. The model looks cool. I like the armor. But anyway, the Warp Seer, you know, he's got the glaive. It's a similar profile. 5 at ward again. Skaven units wholly within 13 have a bravery of 10 now. That's pretty big. He's Master Clan as well. Like, he's very good, this guy, but having a bravery 10, you haven't got the horde bonus to bravery anymore. I know with the Aspect of the Sea and Idenef, where they've got a better bravery base profile, how important that is. Obviously, like, the Furnace makes units immune to battle shock as well, so that's pretty good. He counts as 2 Master Clan heroes for the purpose of always 3 claw steps ahead. So if you've got him and a Gracer, you're going to unlock that, I rolled this charge, I'll use it for every unit, and a Skaven unit, not Master Clan. So Master Clan, I think most armies will have like a Master Clan bit and then another stuff. But so the Warp Seer is very good. The Scry Orby gets +1 to save. In addition, once per battle in your shooting phase, you can lob it 13 inches. Obviously, they take D6 mortal wounds, but then you don't get the +1 to save anymore. So he's on a 3-up save, but it's not like a true 3-up save. It's like it's already buffed. So obviously, I know you can use all that defense and things to mitigate up against Rend, but the best you're ever going to be is a 3-up, you know, because you can only be net +1. Dreaded Warp Gale on an 18, pick an enemy unit within range visible. They take D6 mortal wounds. In addition, run rolls and charge rolls for that unit are halved until your hero phase. And if the unit can fly, it also cannot fly. So, seems pretty good. I mean, 18 inches is not a small range. Them halving charge rolls, I mean, we've seen how good that is with the Khorne Demon Prince. Obviously, that's just a bubble that's on, and it can be done, and they have to come in and charge, and then they can be out of range, like miles away. This is a bit more set up. It's a cast. You do the damage. Still does a decent amount of damage. I mean, D6 mortal wounds is not awful. Then it also has that added effect. If it was just the half move, that would still be pretty good. But doing D6 mortals is nice. No fly means they can't go over things. Yeah, I quite like it. I mean, it's a decent spell. He's obviously still a 2 cast. You still get access to the lore. I think they get access to the lore because, well, actually, let's just double check this. He's a demon as well, which is important to say. So Gracer, Skyer Wizard. So no, they don't get access to these spells because he's not a Gracer and he's not a Skyer Wizard. So that's probably why they've got a War Scroll spell, and then they're going to have another spell to cast, but you can't access the lore. Okay, that's interesting. So obviously these are like empowered versions of the base spells. But that's still good. I mean, that means you're not really bothered about the second cast being for an endless spell or giving it up for a dispel. Also, you've still got Arcane Bolt and you've got Mystic Shield, staple spells. Even a Bolt is good. especially on something that's going to get stuck in. We're into the Vermin of Corruptor, and we talked about the artifact to make those blades pretty decent. I mean, 2d6 attacks on the Plague Reapers is a bit random, but, you know, I don't know. I think in the old days, people who played Skaven back in the day, there was this element of randomness to the army, which people loved, and it created good stories. So I don't hate random stats. I just wish it was like the one below it, 3d3. I wish this was 4d3, because then at least you're minimum 4, right? You know, if it's 4d3, it's the odds are a lot more kind of less swingy. 2d6 roll is like you could roll double 1 or you could roll double 6. I know it kind of 7 is the average, but you can't really go by that in Warhammer. There'll be that key turn, you roll a 4 and you're like, oh man, and then you'll miss with 2 of the attacks and you're like, great, trash. But another times you'll roll a 10 and he's got the artifact and you just rolled a couple spike 6s on the wound roll and just absolutely delete everything. So yeah, he's good. I mean, I do like him. It says he's got the unmodified hit roll of attack with Plague with 6. It does a mortal wound in addition. So with that blade, it's on the wound roll, so it doesn't trigger on the hit roll. So you could do mortals on the hit roll and mortals on the wound roll. Also extra damage on the wound roll. So that's a pretty, I mean, like in terms of output, that's crazy. I mean, if the Plague Reaper attacks were just a flat 10, it'd be amazing. The end of the combat phase, roll a dice for each unit within 3, and a 4+ they take D3 mortals. Again, it's a little bit more poke. It's pretty good because, you know, you might leave something alive on a wound or 2, then he survives, and then you just roll a dice. But he's still got scurry away as well, of course. So if you get charged by multiple units, you know, it's not easy to kill him outright. He's obviously got the Clan Pestilence keyword as well, so that's pretty good for opening up Plague Monks' battle line. Use a command to pick a friendly Clan Pestilence unit to fight, add 1 to hit and wound rolls. You're probably going to be doing that on himself because, you know, 2s and 2s then rather than 3s and 3s. It's a very efficient way of using his command point. Dreaded Plague on a 7, range of 13, became a unit in range visible. Roll a dice for each model to 4 up to take a mortal wound. That's an amazing spell. 4 up, kill off the unit. You know, the new meta's infantry. The corrupt is great. Like, I think he would be in a lot of armies just because the pure damage output's there. I still prefer the Deceiver because he's more techy, he's more fun. But this guy is a truck. I can actually see you running 2 Vermin Lords quite comfortably, and it's going to unlock your battle lines and give you some really solid anchors. I mean, they're expensive. They're about 400 points, give or take. So, you know, you're going to have to... He's 360 is the cheapest one. So with the artifact loadout, pretty good. I think the Corrupted Blade is going to be very popular on this guy. Grey Seer, Screaming Bell, we talked about it, and the Echoes of Doom. I'm not going to go through it all because it's basically the same. You can see it yourself. You can summon a Vermin Lord. It's a totem, which is cool. Obviously, Master Clan, 2 cast Wizard. He's got some attacks. You've got 5 at ward, and then you can beseech the Horn Rat and become a priest. We've talked about that. It's a bit weird. You don't have any prayers other than the generic ones, but you might go, I'll be a priest and I'll give myself a 6 at ward save, which isn't awful. Not on him, obviously, but on like a Storm Vermin block might be useful. But you can't give a curse or anything like that because you can't take a prayer because you're not a priest and you're army list. So he gets to add casting and chanting, so like his casting is pretty reliable, +2 to cast. You know, that's not that rubbish. If you want to force spells through against decent casters or unbinds, then that's pretty decent. Ring the bell as well. Start the hero phase, so roll a dice and things happen. So it's only, again, this is a bit more of the randomness. It's only 1d6 rolls, so this is very swingy. +6 to move, it's okay. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for units within 13. That's great. I mean, we spoke about this before. It says of any friendly Screaming Bell, so it's not stackable. So if you have like 3 bells and you all roll a 3, then it doesn't work. You know, because it doesn't stack. It says of any models with this ability, and then is synonymous with 1 or more. So it doesn't stack. And you've got Deafening Peals. 2 next hero phase roll dice to enemy models picked as a command while it's within 13 of a bell. On a 5 up, the command cannot be issued. So you've got that, and if you've got the other ability, which is I think it's the Master Tactician, so on a 5 you nick their command point as well. That's 2 rolls. You can roll 1 for this, or 5. No, I didn't roll a 5. Roll again. I got a 5. So, and we know how powerful that is with the Lord of Afflictions, that AoE command shut off is great. So yeah, big fan of the Grey Seer on Bell. I think he's awesome. Then Screaming Crescendo. After it makes a charge, pick an enemy unit. 2+ D6 mortals, mortal wound poke. It's good. You know you're going to roll this before you move and charge something, so you don't have to commit until you know you're getting it. Apocalyptic Doom. The end of the hero phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 13. For any Screaming Bells that rolled this result, so again, it's 1 or more. On a 4+ D3 mortal wounds. So that's quite a nice little bit of damage poke from that. And really, it's a 15 wound Grey Seer with a 4+ save, which can, and because he's not a monster, he's a totem war machine, then you get to use the wound, the -1 to hit him in melee, because you could have a unit around him, and I think you need a unit around him to move it. So unit cannot move unless it starts a move within 6 of 10 or more Skaven models. It's quite important to know about the sequencing of that. So you could have like the Grey Seer on a bell out of zone. You could have a unit over here. The unit could move there. Then you can move this because there's enough models to push it. So you don't have to be sat on it. You can have units that can move to the bell, push it. So as long as you've got units of 10 models around that can do that. So, and it's 10 or more friendly Skaven models don't have to be from the same unit. So, you can have multiple units around, and then you're mitigating not being able to move. You've got Stirring before the Veil. So once per battle, start your hero phase. If 7 or more wounds are allocated to this unit, so obviously you've got the bounce and stuff, you've got ward, you can heal it with heroic action. You can shatter the bell. So roll a dice. On a 1, it's destroyed. On any other roll, add the wounds allocated. If it's 12 or less, the bell is shattered and you can't use the bell anymore. If it's 13 or more, the bell is shattered and you can summon a Vermin Lord to your army. A Vermin Lord must be set up within 13 of this unit. It can be set up within 3 of the enemy unit if this unit's within 3 of the same enemy unit. Otherwise, it's more than 9 for all enemy units. If the bell's scratched, it can no longer attempt to cast Crack's Call, and it can't use Peter Doom. Now, Crack's Call, bit shit. It's a cast on a 6, range of 13. Enemy unit in range, roll 2d6. If it's higher than their move, the unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference between its move and the roll. So it can be situational, might be okay. I'd rather it was just on the casting value, because you get bonuses to cast, so it would be a bit more useful. You then have to roll another 2d6 after you cast it, so you might roll a 10 to cast it, then roll 2 dice and roll a 4, and you're like, if you roll a high cast value, one, it's difficult to stop, and it's going to do more damage. So I think missed a trick there. It also speed the game up. There's less rolls. You just roll once. That's the cast. You get +2 to casting, so it's going to immediately be a much more effective spell. He's not a cheap model. I know he can summon a Vermin Lord, but that's going to need a little bit of play around that. But it's going to be quite an interesting situation where the enemy leaves it alive in a couple wounds. You go, right, smash the bell, win the turn roll, smash the bell, put the Vermin Lord down. He's going to punch you with his dagger. Love it. Love that idea. It's certainly fun. I mean, it's 325, so it's not, I wouldn't say he's hugely expensive, but he feels a little bit costly. He is a totem, but he's probably going to be a general, but he doesn't have to be, because then you can have a different trait if you want that, a different trait on a different model. So again, I really like the flexibility in the list. I think there's so many options in this book. It's great. You're not really restricted much at all. And you could have this big seething verminous horde, which is great. You don't get that many models, actually. Like when I tried to write a few army lists, I kept having to drop units out. It feels good in theory, but especially when you start taking the Skyer guns, which are effective because they cost a lot. So the Grey Seer, on foot, he's got staff, he's a wizard, 2 spells, he's got tokens. Once per turn in your hero phase, you can say he will consume a Warpstone token, roll 3d6. It's the same rule that Fancor's got. He's got Wither, which is on a 7, so it's quite high to cast, range of 13. Enemy unit within range, roll 2d6. If the roll's greater than their wounds characteristic, which, so basically don't on monsters, the unit takes D3 mortal wounds, and you -1 from hit rolls for melee weapons. It's really good against horde infantry, Galatian veterans, like thralls, witch elves, just -1 to hit, as well as doing a few damage. Like it's very short range, and it's hard to cast it. But of course, you've got Skill Elite, He's 2 cast. Skitter Leap, then hit Wither. So there's so many options because of Skitter Leap. Skitter Leap's just one of those spells that just opens up so much. Speaking of which, Arch Warlock 6 was 3 up armor save because he's covered in armor. I love the old Ikit Claw model. This is the revamped Ikit Claw, which become a generic Arch Warlock. If you remember Ikit Claw, you know. So he is a 2 cast wizard. Once per battle, you can pick a unit within 9 and basically do D3 mortals or a 2+ for your Warp Star projector. He's got more and more Storm Cage. Before you make a hit roll for his halberd, you can overload it. Then your tax characteristic is D6 instead of D3. However, for each hit roll of a 1, you take D3 mortal wounds. So pretty risky doing that. Warp Lightning Storm's a great spell. It's on a 7. It's a range of 13. Obviously, you can consume sparks for a reroll, so it's not too bad. Obviously, you've also got the command trait for rerolls on Graces if you want to take that. Pick D3 different enemy units in range. They take D3 mortal wounds. Alternatively, before you make any cast roll, you could say you will use his Warp Power Accumulator to augment the spell. If the spell is successfully cast and not unbound, pick up to D3 different enemy units within range of visible. They take D6 mortal wounds. However, if the spell is not cast or unbound, then you take 2d6 mortal wounds. So it's again risk reward, gambling, randomness. It's what makes Skaven so much fun and so popular back in the day. So good to see some of that come back into the book. I think that these rules were here before. I'm not an expert, so you'll be telling me you already did that. Why are you talking about it like it's new? But this is just what it is now. So even if it was like this before, it's like it's still. So it's good. Warlock Engineer, very, I say, like a bit of a tired model. This one, I remember painting this when I was like 18, which is some time ago. You know, got a Warp Block pistol. There's 3 shots, freeze, run 2 damage 1, short range, but still a little bit of poke. It's fine. Before you make any hit rolls for his blade, you can overpower it, get D6. It's the same basically, and he's got Warp Lightning. 1 enemy unit in range, D3 mortals, or you can overpower it and do 1 for D6. So it's like a smaller version. It's cast on a 5, so it's a bit more reliable. So it's not so bad to get that one off. Warlock Bombardier, the Doom Rocket, the old item that used to put a template down. Now it's a shoot and attack on this guy. D3 shots, 4s, freeze, rend 1 damage 3. So random again, random shots, 4s to hit, not reliable, but if it hits, it's pretty good damage. And you can also say that he's going to overload his warhead, so it gets D6 shots rather than D3. However, for each one, you take D3 mortal wounds. So again, it's another way to overpower your rocket. And he's also got the Warp Lightning spell, exactly the same. Storm Fiends, and just go with those points for those. So the Bombardier is 115, the Warlock Engineer is 105. The Arch Warlock, who's a 2 cast wizard, he is fairly expensive. He's 155, but I do like him a lot because he's got a 3 up armor save. He's my go-to warlock if I'm taking a warlock, because I want him to survive, because I want him to use his Warpstone tokens. Storm Fiends, they're coming in at a whopping 320 points. They've always been pretty expensive. 1 unit can be battle line for each clan Sky hero. So what's nice about this, what I said before, you could have a battle line unit of Storm Fiends, but you don't have to take acolytes or pure only Skyer, and you can take some other stuff in your army and still have a Skyer themed force with some Storm Vermin or some Clan Rats without feeling like you need to have like loads of Clan Rats and that, and then you still get all the bonuses. So it's good. So you've got rattling guns, wind launchers, water fire projectors. You know, I don't know how different they are, but basically up to a third of the models can be armed with one of the following: projectors or clubbing blows, or wind launchers or clubbing bows. And then a third of the models can be armed with grinder fists or rattling guns and clubbing bows. And then it's basically how the box set comes. So you can have a Doom Flare gauntlets or warp laced armor, or shock gauntlets and warp laced armor. So you always have 1 combat one. They've got lots of rules, lots of stats. I pretty much think they're pretty much the same, so I'm not going to go through them too much. Obviously, you know, you get extra wounds on the guy with the armor. You got wind launchers. You get +1 to wounds. You know, if they've got 10, it's just like they've got loads of rules. They're pretty good. 6 wounds, 4 up armor save, bravery 6. Obviously, the bravery 10 bubble, if you've got it, would be useful on those. Warp Lightning Cannon, 8 wounds, 4 up save, 24-inch range, movement 3. You roll for the power, so you roll a d6, then you roll 6 dice. Every roll that's basically power level or above does a mortal wound. So that's, if you roll a 1, you're going to do 6 mortal wounds automatic. That's how it used to work. I remember using it in my Khorne army. I know, going back a bit. And they got more and more warp lightning. Before you roll a dice to determine the power, you can, and if there's a friendly warlock within 3, you can increase its output, and you roll 12 dice instead of 6. However, for each unmodified one of 1 on those dice, you take D3 mortal wounds. It's not a big deal when you've got 8 wounds. However, you got to roll. You got to decide that before you see the power. So you might say, "Oh, I'll do that," and you roll a 5 for the power, and you're like, "Oh, I'll do it on 5s." But if you roll like a 2 or a 1 on that, it's like 12 mortals. It's like, wow, that's 10, 12 mortals is pretty ridiculous. So these guys truck. They're really scary. Like, people need to take these out because they can just swing games massively. 150 points is a bit of a steal as well. Like, it's really cheap. I think they were 180 at one point, but I mean, awesome. Then we've got the Acolytes. So these guys have got a 9-inch throw-in attack. Freeze, rend 2, damage D3. Obviously, you've got ways to buff that with Warpstone Sparks and things like that. Then unit can run and shoot, so pretty good. And add 1 to wound rolls if the unit has 10 or more models they're shooting at because of the clouds of gas. Obviously, old model, a lot of people convert them or like, buy free print stuff. It's fine. I do like the Acolytes. I just think it's a shame they don't have a new kit, because like some of the old London Skaven models are very dated. Although to be honest, I do like the Globadiers, but I prefer the older ones where they were just like guys with globes. There's a Grey Seer model with a globe and things like that. The Warlock Engineer, I think, and a lot of the guys just have them strapped to their belts. So if you've got those old 1980s Skaven, they're pretty good. And Sky Acolytes, just looking for this unit, are somewhere in the book. 75 points for 5, so pretty cheap for a shooting unit. And then a Bravery 4 and 6 up armor save and 1 wound each, but they've got that potential damage output on an unleash hell that could be pretty nasty. And you're not investing a whole lot of points for that. So Doomwheel, very interesting model. Again, 46 move, 8 wounds, 4 up save. It's got a 13-inch range, again 13 because it's Skaven. D6 shots, freeze, run 1 D3 damage, and it's got a grinding wheel. When it moves, it can pass across models with wounds of 3 or less in the same manner as the model can fly. In addition, after this unit has moved, roll a dice for each unit that has any models passed across it, and for each other unit within 1 on a 2+, take D3 mortals, so it can roll around. You can do that thing where you get double its move. With, I think it's the accumulator thing that you had access to. It might be the Warpstone Spark, I can't remember. Then you've got more and more speed. When you make a normal move with this unit, you can re-roll the dice for the move characteristic. However, if you roll a 1, then your opponent makes the move, not you. So it's a bit risky. There was that in the old days that had the chance of being moved randomly with a scatter dice, I think, and an artillery dice. If you were to misfire, your opponent could move it. It was wacky. Then more and more warp bolts. Before you determine the attacks characteristic of the war bolts, you can overcharge it, and it goes to 2d6 and another d6 shots. However, if you're on a double, it takes 2d6 mortal wounds after its attacks have been resolved. So you don't get to do the attacks. 2d6 mortals might not kill you. Rolling a doubles, it's not, I wouldn't say it's very likely, but it does happen more often than you probably think. But the damage output on that shoot is pretty good. I really like the Doomwheel. It's a very thematic model. You don't see an awful lot of them, but like, I just think they're a lot of fun. It's 185 points, so I don't sure you'll see much of them on the table, but for me, I just really enjoy some of these Skaven kits. I just think they're really funny. They're fun to use. They're kind of wacky. I think you're gonna have a lot of stories from games with stuff like this where I rolled my move and I rolled like 30 inches and so I overcharged it, and then I basically moved over his whole army doing D3 mortal wounds, and then like unleashed the bolt, and then I killed off his character, and then it blew up, and all this kind of wackiness. So we've got warp fire throwers. These guys are really good. 8-inch range, and it's the mortal wounds. We've seen the warp fire projectors, so they sort of do the same thing. Now, differences with this, you can overcharge it. So if you do that, then you can add one to the roll. So rather than doing it on a 4, it's doing it on a 3. However, for each 1, this unit takes a mortal wound. But you're basically going, I'm a 1 and done with that, right? You're drastically increasing the damage, knowing you're probably going to die anyway. So you might as well get the output. Good thing about it is it's hidden. So when you select this unit to be part of your army, you can pick one clan rat or storm vermin unit. And this is why I think clan rats and storm vermin still have a place, because they allow you to hide stuff. And I still think you will see clan rats and storm vermin. So I talked about like unlocking battle line. You don't need to take them. You're still going to, I think, maybe 1 or 2 units if you want to lean into this mechanic, and it's a great mechanic. You have 10 or more models. It's already part of your army, so you can't do it on a summoned unit, obviously. And then it's hiding. Record this information on a piece of paper. Secret, like these. It's a bit old school. There's a whole book's got an old school feel, which I really enjoy. So do not set this unit up until it's revealed. You can hide 1 warp fire thrower in a clan rat storm for every 10 models in the unit. So you could have multiple warp fires in one unit. So it says hidden warp fire throws are destroyed if the unit is destroyed. Obviously, you've got that thing which allows them not to be destroyed. Start of your shooting phase, you can reveal the unit. So you can move the unit up. You can't run with them and do it because they count as running, which you'll get to in a minute. Set this unit wholly within 3 of the units. So you do get a little bit of extra distance because you move the unit, then it can plop out in front of it. More than 3 from enemy units. The unit can shoot in the phase it was revealed as long as the unit is hiding did not run. But you could have retreated, which is quite interesting. So they could charge you, you could retreat out, deploy your guns, and then nuke them with fire. As long as they don't wipe you out in that turn, that could be pretty nasty as a bit of a shock. Obviously, they're going to know you've got them in your army list, but if you've got multiple places they could be, they may not expect all 3 of them to be in one unit. So it's quite interesting. I like these a lot. Again, like a lot of these are war machines. So I think artillery-wise, you've got Plague Claw, Warp Lightning Cannon, Warp Lock Giselles. So they're going to hit your restriction on what you can take. And if we go to Warp Fire Thrower, 70 points for a Warp Fire Thrower. I think it's a pretty good deal. I do love the Warp Fire, not this model. I like the old one. So if you can get hold of that on eBay, then go ahead. I think I've got a couple lying around, so I do like my Warp Fire Throwers. You got Giselles. It's a bit of a fan favorite. These are great, honestly. 2 wounds, 5 up save, 30 inches, 1 shot, freeze, rend 2, die 2 damage. If you hit on a 6, they take 2 mortals and the attack sequence end. They get +1 to hit rolls if they haven't moved, so they're going to be hitting on 2s. So they're a bit like budget long strikes. They also get +1 to save against attacks made by missile weapons that target you. Bravery 4, they're a bit prone to running away. They're artillery, so they do use up artillery slots. They're only 120 points for 3 of them. So it's pretty cheap. Give you some real poke. And they're quite good at character sniping because even with -1 and +1, they're on freeze. 30 inches is a massive range. If you spike a couple 6s, and obviously you can use Warpstone Sparks and the ability to get +1 to hit as well. So you could make these pretty good. Bravery 4, so they do run away. They're a bit random, but if you want some long range poke in your army, they're a great option. And 120 points is not too expensive. I think they're about right. I don't know if you'll take a big blob of them. If you do, again, it's Skaven, so it's risk reward. You get more reward because you're in 1 unit. That's 1 spark. You can 1 buff. It's there. But they're Bravery 4. They're going to be a little bit vulnerable to getting shot at or attacked because the wounds just cascade through. So again, risk reward. Do you want to take these and be like, oh well, if they get to shoot, they're going to do loads of damage. And of course, you do have the null mechanic to teleport stuff, so there's ways to get around ranges and stuff. So I quite like them. I prefer the hidden weapons teams because I like a bit more of like a combat army that moves forward and does stuff, and then the stuff pops out at short range. It's like reactions. It's quite good. But like I say, not a bad option. Obviously, Warp Lightning Cannon is also very good. Rattling guns, again, they're hidden. They've got the same rules as the Warp Fire Thrower in terms of hiding. Before you determine what the attacks are, you can actually overcharge it to 4d6 plus 3 instead of 2d6 plus 3. If you roll any doubles, it's destroyed. After all its attacks, you still get to shoot with it, so it's good. you know, it's 4s, rend 1/1 damage, so not amazing, but obviously you've got ways to power it up with Warpstone Sparks, with spells, with +1 to hit from the accumulator thing that you can give to a Warlock Engineer. So, you know, obviously you can also allow attack and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I mean, not bad. And if they're quite good damage. It's a range of 12, so they've got a bit of poke. I quite like the Rattling Gun. I don't know if you'll see it much. You know, it's cool to have a little machine gun pop out. 65 points. So yeah, I think when you compare these to Acolytes, I think I like the Warpfire Thrower, and I like the Warpfire Thrower because it's mortals, right? And Skaven got access to so many mortal wounds. Like, you could really churn the mortals out. Any army that doesn't like being mortaled will hate this army. Got Doom Flayer, so like a mini Doom Wheel. Never ran one of these. I think this is a bit weird. It can be hidden as well. At the end of your charge phase, you reveal this. If the unit which is hiding made a charge move, set this up wholly within 3 of the unit, and it can be within 3 of the unit, then it can fight. It's got some attacks, does some damage. You can again increase its whirling death. So you can roll 2d6 for attacks rather than d6. And again, if you roll a double or a 7, it's dead. But you still get to attack. So you still get to do freeze, rend 2, damage 2. So it's quite a big poke. Imagine like a unit of clan rats with a couple of those in. You'd be like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. And then, you know, so none of these are bad. Like, none of these are bad things. I like the weapons teams a lot. They have a lot of options. Whether you'll see a lot of them on the table, I don't know. But I mean, you might do. It's 65 points as well. Then we got the Warp Grinder, again 65 points. The nice thing about them all being 65, 70 is they're pretty interchangeable. So if you wanted to change up your list and change what you're using, you can do that. Warp Grinder is a little bit different. So this is during deployment. Instead of setting up your unit on the battlefield, you can place it one side, so it's tunneling a reserve unit. Then you can set up another Skaven unit that is not a monster or a war machine, so you can't tunnel a lot of your guns. But you can have a unit join this, and then at the end of your movement phase, you can set this unit up at the battlefield 9 away from all enemy units. And if a friendly Skaven unit joined it, wholly within 13, 9 from enemy units. So I'm not sure you'll take this, but it's nice to have a tunnel option. You know, can't kill you if you're off. I think there's a roll that if you might roll something and you get killed, but I don't think there is actually. I think there's no randomness to this now. You used to have a roll that you might die or you don't come on. No, there's no roll. So yeah, maybe you'll see it then. Got your Plague Priest. +1 attack to its melee weapons if it charged. Sure. -1 to wound rolls for melee weapons that target you. That's very strong. You get 5 wounds or a 5-up save, so you're not really wanting to be in combat, to be honest. He's got a Pestilence Prayer on a 3, range of 13. Pick a point at the battlefield. Roll a dice for each unit within 3 at that point on a 4+D3 mortal wounds if it's Clan Pestilence heal, which could be quite nice. I mean, it's the same. I think he does exactly the same now. I think he's 85 points now. And he might be. I only know this because Byron took him as an ally in his Nurgle list. And I think his heal is just Clan Pestilence now. Yes. So, where are you, Plague Priest? This is 100 points, so he's gone up a little bit. He does unlock your battle line for Plague Monks. So there you go. You got Plague Claw Catapult, 1 shot, freeze 2s, rend 2 damage d6, and obviously you can buff that damage if you take that. I think it's a command trait. Barrage of Disease. If the target does not have to be visible. In addition, if the unit has 10 or more models, add 1 to hit rolls and increase the damage to 2d6. Add 2 to Battle Shock for units targeted by a friendly units with this ability. So it's not even to have to kill anyone, you just target. So that could be quite good. I don't think you'll see many Plague Claws. They do have the Nurgle keywords. These guys can go into Nurgle armies. So maybe it's 135 points, so it's quite cheap. And with the new handbook leaning into infantry, maybe it is a viable option. I don't know. For me, I'd just rather do mortals and stuff, and I'd rather use warp fire throws. But I'm more Sky. I've always been more of a Sky guy anyway. So Plague Priest on Furnace. It's got a ward of 5. It's pushed into battle It's got -1 to wound, which is quite strong on this because it's got a lot of wounds. It's got a prayer on a 3, pick a point in the battlefield. On a 4 up, D3 mortals and heal. That's the same as the other priest has got. It's got the big sensor, so it says do not use the attack. Pick an enemy unit within range, roll a dice. On 2+, it takes a number of mortals equal to the Great Plague thing. So it's D3 +4. That's pretty good. And it says, I think you used to only be able to drop it in your turn now, but now it's anyone's turn. Altar of the Horn Rat. Do not take battle shot tests for friendly Skaven units wholly within 13. So that's quite key. If you're leaning into infantry, you probably want these. I still think the towers list with multiple of these and Plague Monk blobs will be good. Oh, let's talk about its points. I don't think it's too expensive, to be honest. Plague Priest is 335, or is quite pricey then. Okay. I mean, obviously, I mean to battle shot bubble. Maybe you could take 2 of these, but you could take a Vermin Order for not much more. So yeah, I think like Can Pestilent Fiend forces you will. If you take a big Plague Monk blob, you'll take 1. Plague Monks, 2 attacks, 3s, 4s, or they have the Woe Staff, 2 attacks, 4s, 4s, they get 2 each reach, but you can get a bonus reach anyway with the army. You can add 1 to run and charge rolls if you've got a musician. You can have an icon of entropy. Each time a model for this unit is slain by attack with a melee weapon before removing it, roll a dice on a 6, pick an unit with 3, they take a mortal wound. So that's quite good. Book of Woe, which is in your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 13 of the bringer of the word. Roll a dice on a 1 to 2, nothing happens. 3 to 4, take a mortal wound. 5 to 6, take D3 mortal wounds. Doesn't affect Nurgle. But still, nice little bit of poke. It's in the hero phase though. If the modified hit roll for an attack made by a melee weapon is a 6, it has a rend of 2 instead of nothing. So a little bit of splitting attacks out, which is a bit annoying, but and they get +1 attack if they made a charge. So, 3 attacks and then 6s air extra rend. You can get +1 to hit, +1 to wound quite easily. So yeah, pretty good. Bravery 5 is the big thing. Obviously, you probably want to have your immune to battle shock bubble. And these guys, they're not battle line, but they are battle line if you've got a pestilence hero. So are plague sensor bearers as well. Actually, looking at that, and plague monks are 90 points for 10, so pretty good, pretty cheap for what they do. They might not be, and it says you can include as battle line, so it doesn't say you must or they are. So if you're trying to manipulate what's a veteran, what's not a veteran, and actually like you might not want them to be veterans because they're throwaway. So that's the nice thing about the Skaven book as well with the new handbook. So I'm glad they're coming out at the same time so we can talk about that synergy rather than have to do that separately. Sensor bearers, yeah, sort of. I used to like the old models, but these ones are a bit ham-fisty. 3 attacks, freeze, run 1 damage 2. It's not bad, but the bravery 5, 2 wounds, 6 up save. You get +1 attack if they charge. They get add 1 to wound rolls made by this unit if it's wholly within 18 of plague monks, so that's pretty good. And subtract 1 from wound rolls to hit them, but they ain't going to be surviving much, to be honest. Yeah, fine. I'm not overly enamored with them. 90 points for 5. You might take them if you're doing a theme army. You probably take them. Clawlord, 6 attacks, freeze, run 1 damage 2, 5 wounds, 4 up save. So you can take a trait if you've got 1 in your army. Add the number of wounds allocated to this unit to the attack, so it's melee weapon. So that could be quite good if you've taken a couple of wounds, but generally going to be dead or alive. It's hard to be like alive on a couple of wounds and get any real benefit out of that. Use this command ability when you pick a clan Verminous unit to fight. Add 1 to their attacks. So Gnash Gnaw on their bones is good if you're using Storm Vermin. Like that one a lot. And you got Squitch Spiked Claw and his Swarm. This is the Underworld's Warband. He's basically a Clawlord. He has got the Clawlord keyword, so he would get the benefit, but he is unique, so he probably can't have a trait. I wonder how that works. Then it says, start your hero phase, units within 13 of a friendly Spike Claw Swarm unit. You can return D3 models to the unit. You cannot return Kirk, the Almost Trusted, because he wants to stab you in the back, which is quite thematic. He's got that same command ability. He's got his Swarm, and after a first wound or mortal wounds allocated using any phase, it has a ward of 5 up. So So once they've taken a wound, they get a 5-up ward, which, yeah, not much good because you're probably going to die in one round of attacks anyway. 165 points, and I think the Claw Lord is 110, so you're spending, 55 points for the unit. Which, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think you take a normal Claw Lord. He's a cool model, though. Then we're into the Clan Rats and Storm Vermin. So 20 Clan Rats for 100 points. That's pretty cheap. Obviously, like, life is cheap for Skaven, if you remember the old rules. So, one attack, 4's 4s, or 2 each for each, one attack, 5's 4s. Pretty much always going to go with blades because of the allegiance ability. You could get T3 models back in the unit because they've got Seething Swarm. It's the end of Battle Shock, which is the key bit. Then you've got +2 to run rolls if it includes Bellringer, and the Standard Bearer can retreat and still charge, which is kind of cool. I don't think you probably want to be charging much for these, but might be useful if you retreat, drop your Warp Fire Throws out, then charge back in and then hose them down. Maybe it could work. Storm Vermin. I love Storm Vermin. That'll be one of my favourite models, favourite things in Warhammer, going back to the Red Book, Skaven book. We've got 1 wound, 4-up save, which is fine for what they are. They're 135 points for 10. A little bit pricey. They're elite infantry. 2 attacks, freeze, rem 1/1 damage. 1 in every 10 models can be a Storm Vermin Standard Bearer. This unit can retreat and still charge later in the turn if it includes any Storm Vermin Standard Bearers. 1 in every 10 can be a Storm Vermin Drummer, add 2 to run and charge. So it's basically the same. Elite Bodyguards. If a friendly Skaven hero has been free of this unit before you allocate a wound or more wound to that hero, or instead of making a ward roll, roll a dice, add 2 to the roll if it's a Clan Verminous keyword, or a 4+ that war wound is allocated to this unit instead. So they can be ablative wounds for your Warbringer, or they could just be protection. They're quite good against with the Grey Seer because you get that rule anyway, and it means you can try and manipulate the dice coming down to for the bell to then release a Vermin Lord. How practical that is, I don't know, but they do have a protection, and obviously, like, you get lookout, so you might want to hit heroes in range. So can be pretty ludicrous. Could help your Claw Leader survive to get that extra attacks as well. Then we're on to the Moulder stuff. So we've got Master Moulder, comes in at 90, and the Pack Master, just because I'm on the page. Why can I not find the Pack Master? It's because he's not a leader, right? No, he must be a leader. Ooh. No, he's not. Pack Masters. I am blind. That's why I can't find it. 3 of them for 65 points. There you go. So each model is, you get 3 of them in a little unit. There's some weapons. Start your movement phase, pick a Clan Moulder unit, hold within 13. To your next movement phase, add 3 to run and run rolls and charge rolls to the unit. In addition to your next movement phase, add 1 to wound rolls. Melee weapons, same unit cannot benefit. So quite a nice buff. I think I've seen that before. +3 to run and charge is pretty decent. You got your Master Moulder, which is like your character one. I think he was a special character, actually. 6 back in the day. 6 attacks, freeze 4s when rand. He's got a Things Catcher. So start the movement phase. Again, he's got that pick a unit. A Clan's Moulder pack unit, so Rat Ogres can get this. Add +1 to wound rolls by melee weapons. And then Master Moulder in your hero phase, pick 1 friendly Clan Moulder pack with a 3 heal D3 wounds allocated. Unleash small beasts. Use this command ability when a friendly Clan Moulder pack unit is destroyed on a 3+ a new replacement unit to the one that was destroyed is added to your army. Set up that unit, hold within 12 of this unit and more than 9. Each destroyed unit can be replaced once. Replaced units cannot be replaced. Pretty solid as a command ability, right? I mean, like, just put your unit back on. I know it's a free app. I think there was a trait that's the same thing. Pass. Hell Pit Abomination. So, like I say, there's a lot of War Scrolls, guys, so I do appreciate you bearing with me. It's 245 points. It's 2d6 move. It's a bit random. You can make it a 7, flat 7, which is quite good. It's got the Avalanche of Flesh. I don't think this has changed much, really. Roll a dice equal to the number of models in the unit you're within range. Reroll any of the dice if it made a charge. For each roll is equal to or greater than the avalanche first value, they take a mortal wound. So basically 2 to do mortals. Good against hordes. Hordes are going to be more prevalent. It's going to be more useful. Regenerating, heal D3 wounds. Warpstone spikes. Each time it's affected by a spell or the abilities of an enemy spell on a 4+ ignore it. So 4 up ignore, pretty good. Too horrible to die. The first time it's destroyed before removing it, roll a dice. 1, dead. 2 to 4, rats submerged, get D3. All units within 3 take D3 mortal wounds. It's alive. Heal D6 wounds, and it's not dead. So, yeah, 14 wounds, 5 up save. If you're taking Moulder and you're leaning into this, then maybe you do. It's a cool model. I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of Moulder. Never have been. Rat ogres, hate these models. Hate them. The old ones are so much better than these plastic abominations with the big gaps. But anyway, really need a new kit. They're really good in the game though. 6 wounds, 4 up save, movement 7. 16-inch range on a warp fire gun, D3 shots, 4s, freeze, rend 1 damage 2. And they got 4 attacks, freeze, 1, 1, 2 damage. If the modified hit roll for attack made by the tearing claws, blades, or fangs is a 6, it's 2 hits to the 1. Obviously, you can buff these quite easily. They are a pack unit, so you can return them. And Rotodgers, as they affectionately were known by the Black Sun crew. A little bit of an old shout out for the old school people out there. 140 points for 2, and they can be battle line. Obviously, you can reinforce them then 3 times. You can have unit of 6 as the max. Obviously, the new reach is pretty important with the. I don't think it works. It's not veterans. Yeah, ignore me. Yeah. So, but anyway, still pretty good. 6 wounds is a lot for a model. They count as 2 capture. I'm not a fan. Don't like the Moulder stuff. But anyway, you might. So, rat swarms. Yeah. 55 points for 2. You can return a model back to the unit at the end of each in the battle shock phase. 5 attacks, 5 5s. Nothing really to talk about with those, I don't think. Giant rats, again. I'm not a fan of this stuff. I don't like Moulder. You might do. You get 6 of them for 60 points. You can use 1 unit as battle line for each clan Moulder hero. 2 attacks, 4s and 4s. Bravery 3, no save. Improve the rend by 1 if it's 3 to 5. Improve it by 2 if it has 6 or more. Sure, not really seeing those at all. The Moulder stuff I'm not a fan of. You might be excited. I don't know if you're excited about Moulder. That's cool. You know, it's my personal bias, so it doesn't say they're bad. But there's other stuff in the book that I think is a lot cooler that I want to include and play with. The Moulder stuff, I'm happy not to touch any of it. So there's enough for me with Skyer and Verminus and Echin and Pestilence for me to keep me busy, so I don't need to touch it. Deathmaster, we talked about this guy. He was in the Echoes of Doom set. Awesome model, probably one of the best Skaven models to be released for a long time, although all the Skaven models recently that have been released have been amazing. Movement 7, 5 wounds, 4 up save. Got 12-inch range, Foreign Stars, 5 shots, 4 4s, no rend, D3 damage. 5 attacks in combat, 3 3s, rend 1, D3 damage. However, he has Ashen Toxin, so if he rolls a 6 to hit, it does do 3 mortal wounds. He can run and shoot, and in the same turn. And obviously, when you select him to be part of the army, you can hide him in a unit. So you can hide him in Clan Rat, Stormwind, or Night Runners. Record the information is secret. You cannot hide more than 1 Deathmaster in the same unit. Start of a combat phase. If he's hidden, you can reveal it. In addition, the unit in which the unit is hidden is destroyed. You must reveal this unit before the last model is removed. When you reveal it, set a wholly within 3 of the unit was hidden. If it was revealed because unit was destroyed, he takes 1 mortal wound. So what you can do is you could have a small unit of clan rats, they go in and kill it, and then he just pops up, and then they've already activated, so they can't hurt him, and then he can hit, and then he can. So yeah, can be quite nice. I quite like him. He's 170 points in the Echoes of Doom, and I think he's 165 now, so he went down slightly. Obviously unlocks Ashen units as battle line. Hate these models. It's a shame because I love the rules. So you've got Gut Runners, movement 7. Again, they've got 3 shots, 4s and 4s, no rend 1 damage, but they've got Ashen Toxin, so they roll a 6 to hit, they take a mortal wound, and they've got 2 attacks in combat, freeze free from 1 damage, and again 6 to hit, do mortal wounds. Can runners still shoot? They're elite, so they can issue commands. During deployment, instead of setting the unit up on the battlefield, place it to one side, say it's infiltrating. Then you do so at the end of your first movement phase, set this up whole within 6 of a terrain feature and more than 9 from enemy. So you don't have much choice when they can reveal, but they are pretty good. These chaps, these scatter runners, are pretty cheap at 105 points. Can be battle line. You only get 5 models, but I like the fact that you get 15 shots. Every 6 is immortal. Then you've got Night Runners, which has got a 12-inch range, 1 shot each, 4s, 5s. But again, Echin toxins. So every 6 is immortal. You get 10 of these for 90 points. They can be battle lines. So you could have a unit of 30. That's 30 dice. Every 6 is immortal. So it's not awful. They can run and still shoot as well. Their movement's 7, and they get a pre-game move, which allows you to screen your army. After deployment before the first battle round, the unit can make a normal move up to 2d6. A bit random, but nice. I really like Night Runners. They can be battle line. You know, with the tactic killer battle line going, I mean, they would be veterans if you make them battle line. But I really like Night Runners. I just think they're so good value for what they do. Even if you just take a basic unit who aren't battle line, you know, they get a pre-game move. They just chip away mortals. Yeah, they're bravery 4. You know, they're Skaven. It all runs away. Slink, Skittershank, and the Claw Pack. This guy is my favourite thing in the book. Both models and rules. We talked about him a lot on the Echoes of Doom show when we talked about the Nevermaze warband, which is where he comes from. Ashen toxins, just amazing. If he's within 1 inch of a friendly Skittershank's Claw Pack at the start of the combat phase, strike first to him applies to this unit. In addition, after he's fought, then the Skittershank Claw Pack can retreat. So he can be next to them, they charge, he strikes, then they bugger off, so they can't be hurt. They've got 2 wounds each, movement 7, 5 up save. They've got Ashen Sling, you know, 4 shots, 4s, no rend, 1 damage. So I think Sword and Claw, it's only going to be 1. Yeah, only 1 sling, right? Yeah. But if they roll a 6 to hit, they take D3 mortals. So in combat, you've got what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attacks. And then the 4 attacks there. So that's 13 attacks. Of course it is. Combined shooting and combat. Every 6 is D3 mortals. Just great. You know, during deployment, you can place it to one side. It's infiltrating. If you do infiltrate it, then Slink also joins them. At the end of your first movement phase, set this up on the battlefield whole within 6 of a terrain and more than 6 from enemy units. Then if Slink, Skittershank join them, then set up within 1 and 6 away, and they can run and still shoot. So I really like these. Great models, 225 points, so much mortal wound output, so much reach. You've got gnaw holes to put down, so it gives you so many options. I just love them. Really, really like these. They also Slink as an Ashen hero, which unlocks a battle line unit for one of the other guys. So you're trying to get around those. So, end of spells. We'll talk about let's do it this way around. So Bella Doom. So it is cast on a 5, range of 13. Put this within range, and more than 1 for all enemies and spells. Only Skaven wizards can do it. It's predatory. It can move 2d6, a bit random. After its move, roll 3d6. On a 13, every unit within 13 takes d3 mortal wounds, so then it's removed from play. Do not take battle shocks for Skaven while they're within 13 at the end of spell. Subtract 1 for bravery from other units within 13. So it's nice because it gives you battle shock immune. It's a bit random. It could disappear. It's 60 points. It's a bit expensive. Got the gnaw holes. So you get up to 3 gnaw hole terrain features. After territory is determined, you can set this faction terrain more than 3 inches from all objectives, other terrain, more than 18 from all other gnaw holes in your army, and wholly within 8 of the battlefield edge. It's impassable, so you cannot move over it, which is nice because you actually might stick the wooden on it now. Once per turn at the end of your movement phase, you can pick 1 friendly Skaven unit wholly within 6 of this terrain feature and remove it from the battlefield to set that unit up wholly again within 6 of a different gnaw hole that does not have enemy units within 3 of it and more than 9 from enemy units. Designer's note: you can use this ability once per turn with each gnaw hole faction terrain feature in your army that is on your battlefield. So, At the end of your movement phase, pick one Skaven unit, hold over 6 during move. So, yeah, okay, so yeah. You can do multiple teleports, basically, if you want to. So, Aura of the Horn Rat, add 1 to chanting rolls for friendly Skaven priests within 3 of this terrain feature, add 1 to casting, dispel, and unbinds for Skaven wizards within 3 of this feature. So, great if you're trying to get your Great Plagues off, you're trying to power up your prayers, if you're going for that battle tactic. Also, just getting extra cast for wizards is really decent, especially if you want to teleport through it and then, you know, with a Skit Elite teleport next to one, because you can, then cast your endless spell and then Gnaw Hole back out, and you've got the Gnaw Bomb as well, which turns a terrain feature into a Gnaw Hole. So again, techie book, lots of technical stuff you can do. You've got the Vermin Tide, which is a summon endless spell on a 5 range of 18. Set the end of spell whole within range visible to more cast more than 1 from all medals, other end spells and invocations. Skaven wizards move up to 7. After this end spell move, the commanding player can pick 1 unit within 3, roll 13 dice for each 6 as a mortal wound. In addition, roll 13 dice for each unit that finishes a normal move, run, retreat, or charge within 3. Every 6 takes a mortal wound. So sounds a bit pap, but actually you could get multiple bites out of this, because you can move it, does damage, then they do a normal move, maybe they're in range because it's 3 inches, and then they want to charge, or they want to, you know, so they're going to take damage multiple times. So it chips away. It's a lot of dice rolling for probably not a lot of effect, but it could be quite annoying. Warp Lightning Vortex, this is the spell normally. Like, this is just great. So range of cast value of 8, range of 13. So Skit Elite cast this, set 1 part of the end of spell hold within range. The second and third parts 7 from the first part, exactly 7 from each other. The parts will form a triangle. For each part, exactly 7 for the other 2 parts. All of the parts must be set up more than 1 from all models, other endless spells, and invocations. Only Skaven wizards can summon this endless spell. So, yeah, fine. And then it says, after the spell is set up, at the end of each movement phase, roll a dice for each unit within 6 of this endless spell. Add 1 to the roll, it's within 6 or 2 parts. Add 2 if it's within 3 parts. On a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. On a modified roll of a 6, they take D6 mortal wounds. And units within 3 inches cannot run. So you can hit an awful lot of stuff. And it could be working on 2s or 3s, depending on how many of these are near them. They can't run. And it's in the end of each movement phase. So you set it up, then you sure go, right? So you've done it, it's your movement phase. They haven't moved because they can't, it's your go, unless they redeploy. Then you do it again, and then they have a go. And if they're still near it, they get hit again. So I think it's really good. It's actually quite hard to get rid of on an 8. It can be quite game breaking, especially if you put it around like a objective that they want to be on, because it's just doing damage. Like, it's just ticking damage. I really like the Warp Lightning Vortex. It's always been a very impactful spell. It's 80 points, so it's a bit expensive now that other endless spells have come down. But actually, you say it's cheaper, but yeah, not too bad. So that's it. That's all the War Scrolls. It's been a bit of a mammoth show. I'll give you my thoughts on it just to reiterate. It's quite a flexible book. You've got artillery, you've got lots of mortal wound output, you've got really good magic, you've got some techie combos you can do. The units are kind of expensive, so when you start trying to unlock these things, you run out of points quite quickly. But what I like about it is you can take a mixed horde, clan army, or specialist stuff, or like little contingents within your army, because your battle line unlock is not due to your hero being a general. You're also not locked into must be battle line. If you've got it, it's may. You can include, so you don't have to make them battle line, which in the new handbook's quite powerful, because you can choose what is a Galatian veteran, what isn't. You know, sometimes you don't want something to be a battle line unit, even though you want to include the unit, so that's quite good. They got great artillery. You know, you've got the hidden weapon team mechanic, which is great, which I think came in during Broken Realms. Decent magic phase, loads of artifacts, loads of really, really tricky little things you can do. Vermin Lords are great. I like what's happened with the bell. Shame about the battle shock bubble, but you can't have everything. It's nice that the furnace has a place because of that. You might think, oh, I'll take a furnace as well because I want to make sure I'm immune, or I might take the doom bell because I want to be immune, although that's a bit random. Yeah, I think the Echin stuff shines a little bit with the mortal wound output now. It means that I think you'll see some of those units a bit more. Particularly Slink, I think he's a great option. He just gives you so much Alpha Strike potential. Teleport spell is really good. Obviously, there is a mission where you can't use teleport, so it will kind of screw you over a bit. I do really like the book. I think it's solid. I'm really interested to see what people come up with list wise. I think as a list building book, it's amazing because you don't run out of options. There's so much to do. There's lots of war scrolls. You can ally in Nurgle if you've got a Clan Pestilence general, but obviously you don't really care if your general's Clan Pestilence because it doesn't really lock out anything. It's just your command trait. And some of those traits are pretty good. I think like Nurgle being allies, there's a lot of options there. So I think it's solid. Like, I mean, I don't think many of the rules have changed massively. You've got a little bit of a tired model range, but Skaven always been popular. And what I like about this is the other book felt very restrictive in army list creation, and you never really got what you wanted. And you go all Skyer, and then you didn't really have bodies, and you felt a bit meh. Then you go like all Pestilence, you didn't really have any range output or damage output, and the attacks were kind of mediocre. Now you can have your cake and eat it, or your cheese and eat it, I should say. You can have a bit of each. So super solid. So I'm a big fan of this. So let us know what you think below. Thanks for watching. It's been a bit of a long one. Hopefully, if you've not watched the General's Handbook or the Sylvaneth show, check those out. It's release weekend, mega weekend, so all three are out. I'm going to be doing a live show on Sunday, and that'll be us talking about the handbook, maybe some list tech. Hopefully, it might get cancelled, but just keep an eye on the channel just to see if it's going ahead, but it should do. And yeah, so I want to say thanks everyone for watching. Give us a like, sub, all that kind of stuff. If you want to get our objective rings, they're back in stock. You can go to Element Games, FACEHAMMER, they ship worldwide, so don't worry if you're not based in the UK. Obviously, don't add GW stuff into your basket because they won't ship that to you if you're not within Europe. And then you can obviously support us by coming on to Discord or directly buying us a Ko-fi or going to Patreon. Or being a member on YouTube, so all that stuff's there. In terms of Patreon, I've got some gift stuff that I'm working on for the people who've been long-term supporters. It's been a little bit of a delay because I had a bit of an issue with a supplier, but I should have those stuff ready to go out soon because it's almost been 1 year since we launched Patreon. So thanks everyone who's supported us for that long. Really do appreciate it. It helps make sure the channel we keep releasing content, and it does take an awful lot of time working it around like work and family life, but yeah, I'm just glad that you guys sort of enjoy the videos and that, and we've hit 6,000 subs, so pretty happy about that. When we started our journey, it's been quite a big uptake since AOS 3 has been launched, so really enjoy that. So yeah, thanks everyone for the support. We'll catch you all in the next one. Let us know what you think about the book below. Put your army list in. Always interested to see what people are thinking about doing. Are you excited? Are you a long-term Skaven player? Are you disappointed? Let us know why. Is there stuff in there you don't like? Is there stuff in there you do like? Are you really into rat ogres and you're a bit disappointed? Actually, I think they're really good in the game, but hey ho. Anyway, catch you again soon. Thank you very much for watching.